Welcome to another episode of the Best of Film Seizure. I am Jeff Arbuckle, co-host of the Film Seizure podcast. And this week we have a little bit more of a fun one for you. And this is our discussion about Heathers. I believe this was sometime, I think we recorded this like right before the lockdowns in 2020. It's one of our last episodes that we did when we used to exclusively record in person before we started to do a little bit more with Zoom and so forth. But that's neither here nor there. Real quick, before we get to this episode, a couple of things I want to remind people. September 14th is the return of new episodes of Film Seizure. We are talking about The Godfather. And then on September 21st, we'll talk about The Godfather Part 2, and September 28th, The Godfather Part 3. We have all sorts of really kind of fun and interesting stuff that we're ready to get to work on. We've already got quite a few episodes already in the can, waiting for when we are going to start going with the new release schedule and getting all the new stuff out there. As far as these best of episodes, we hope that you've been enjoying these. We just kind of picked a handful of episodes that kind of fill the gap in between when we did LA Confidential, and then a couple of weeks later we were able to release that live episode for the Goonies that we did at PopCon in Indianapolis back in June. But we hope you've been enjoying these. These are things that we're not just doing for this. There may be some times in which we will do some gap weeks or something where we're not exactly going in with a brand new episode on a Wednesday, and we'll pick a best of episode to fill the gap anyway. We know that we've done a lot of episodes, so this gives everybody a chance to really kind of get a little bit more of what we would recommend people listen to if they asked us if there was anything in particular from our series that we would recommend. So with that, a little bit about Heathers. Of course, this is kind of a touchstone, kind of dark comedy of the older millennial set and the younger Gen X crowd. I remember this being hugely popular with my friends and people I grew up with in the late 80s and early 90s. This is just one of those movies that kind of made Winona Ryder that much more of a rising star, and it really made a star out of Christian Slater. One interesting thing I do want to bring up before we head into this new episode, we do question a moment in which Winona Ryder is using a monocle as she's writing her diary, I believe it is. Thanks to my dad, found out that may be an allusion to her sexuality, as there were clubs in Europe, particularly in Berlin and Paris, in which lesbian women would congregate, and they would typically wear monocles. In fact, I think the Parisian club was actually called Le Monaco, or however that's pronounced in French. Sorry, I may have just butchered that. But it was something that was actually quite common for lesbian women to do in Europe in the early part of the 20th century. So thanks to my dad for explaining that to me after he listened to this episode. So anyway, if you want to know when stuff comes out, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for Film Seizure. You can also subscribe to Film Seizure at various podcast sites like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify. We also are on SoundCloud. We also upload this stuff to YouTube. Just look for us, subscribe to us. You'll always be in the know when new stuff comes out or when episodes are released. In addition, you can listen to my show, Monster Mondays, every Monday. This upcoming Monday is Godzilla Planet of the Monsters, which was the first part of an animated trilogy that got released over here in North America on Netflix. So a little bit of a terse relationship people have with that series, or with those three movies. But I will still find three things that I like about it. So tune into that on Monday, August 22nd. Until then, sit back, enjoy this Best of Film Seizure episode as we talk about Heathers.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Film Seizure. I'm Jason Oliver.
I'm Jeff Arbuckle.
And I'm Chuck Moore.
And this week we have for you 1989's
88, 89?
88, 89.
Yeah, I guess it was filmed in 88.
And I think
right?
it premiered maybe late 88, but didn't go wide until 89. Whatever. 88, 89's Heathers.
Yep. It's
Yes.
a little high school comedy drama here.
Yeah.
Or dark black comedy.
Dark black comedy, right.
It's a dark black.
Very,
It's a very dark black.
very, very pitch black.
Pitch black comedy.
Yeah. So black comedy. There's not one black person in this movie.
Teacher. One teacher was.
Oh, yes. Good.
But that's good. But actually, there's this is totally what white people do.
Oh, yes. and this is definitely a send up of white people. So
Yes, yeah. This is it's kind of funny because I think this movie is immune to people being skeeved out by the themes of this movie. In light of current events or what's gone on since.
sure. But in that way, it's also been, you have to kind of view this movie through two different lenses, right?
Yeah.
Like, is it prescient? Was it just predicting the future, or is it sort of like an art imitates art? Did it have any hand in the psyche or the consciousness of the youth, and as they evolved, or devolved in some ways, which again is kind of, I think, part of the satire.
I think this is an excellent satire of 80s school life.
Yeah.
Cliques, and I mean, there's always been cliques. I mean, my mom talks about how much she hated the certain cliques when she was in high school in the late 50s. So
Right.
that's always been there. But like some of the things like the mall era,
Yeah.
the capitalism run wild era of like, the rich kids are the popular kids and everybody else is kind of nothing to them.
Yeah. That's true.
Oh, thank you, Chuck.
Sorry.
No, thank you. No, really, thank you. That's a heartfelt thank you. I was like, oh, that died. I better edit that out.
I was kind of thinking though that while this movie is certainly a product of its time in many ways, I think it's probably a little bit more. I think kids today would probably watch this movie and find it more interesting and find more perspective in it than something like A Breakfast Club. I think
Absolutely.
I think this movie is aged pretty damn well, considering everything that has happened in schools and just the sort of the universality of some of these themes and growing up.
Well, I would say that you could see some of this stuff even with like the social media age, like.
Oh, I mean, it's on blast now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's this, but tuned up to the internet. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you feel about that, Chuck?
We've all still got hot probs. Just
Hot
like they did
Hot probs.
back in the day.
Yeah, it's like, what was
Yeah.
what was the one kid calling in and asking about like what his hot prob was?
Oh, you just
Oh no, it was Gilligan's Island.
Yeah.
Gilligan's just so stupid.
That is a hot prob.
It is a hot prob, man.
prob. I loved his neon and the
Yeah,
DJ
neon
booth
hot
hot
probs.
I
probs.
suggest you get one of those.
Yeah, I think we should. I really think we should. If you make neon signs, give us a call. We'd like to get a hot prob sign.
Like Chuck said before we started, this movie didn't really make a lot of money in theaters. Not a lot of people saw it in theaters, but I think this was one of those movies that had legs on video.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a video store darling.
Yeah.
Because I remember, gosh, it was probably 1990-ish or so, being able to buy this on VHS for like $5 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I did.
Did
And
you?
I watched it.
Nice. I watched it on HBO. I'm pretty positive.
I think I rented it the first time, and then it's like, man, that's a really funny movie. And it's like right as like Christian Slater and Winona Ryder were like taking off.
I I remember this being a movie that they played on cable, but the language edited. Right. It was. I think it's one of those movies, those R-rated movies that they could get away with because there isn't any nudity. Right. There isn't really any, like, there's a little bit of sexuality, but not all that much.
Not outside of what you would have seen on like Three's Company.
Right. So it was very easy to just change some words and put this out there. So that's how I saw it. I think I saw it on like fucking TBS or something.
I suspect that one of the easiest edits was to talk about Big Fun as Eurotrash.
Right.
That was probably an easy edit for them to do.
I think I do want to earmark some of how homosexuality is portrayed in here, because I think it's sneaky smart in a lot of ways.
I think, and to be honest with you, I don't think the dialogue that's being used is really offensive.
Correct.
Because it is of its time.
Well, it's not that it's necessarily even of its time. I think that there's a sense of, we're in middle America.
Yes.
White country, middle America. In Ohio, right. This is probably what people think of gay people. Right? That they, all carry around pornography, that they
that they have Joan Crawford postcards.
Right, and that they drink Perrier, minimal water.
Homosexual
artifacts, right.
Yeah.
So, of course, like, to them, this is the only concept they have of homosexuality. So that's what they're going to use to then propagate the lie that they were gay, secret gay lovers.
Right. But I mean, but even using the term fag. I mean, it's just, that was what was said back then, and not always in a very negative way.
Well, the people saying it, though, they're ignorant.
Sure.
And that's kind of the point of the whole movie is so much ignorance is on display.
Yeah, there's no maliciousness when anyone says fag, really. I don't think anyone is...
No.
I'm not saying you're saying that.
I'm saying that the way people throw the word around, they're saying it from a place of ignorance.
Right.
But usually when somebody is being called a fag in a movie of this time, it's done very much so with negative intent.
Right.
Like, it's being said by that person to portray homosexuality as a disgusting thing or a bad thing.
Right.
I don't think this movie even does that.
No.
I think it's using homosexuality against the two, just moronic jocks who mistreat women. The worst thing that they could be reminded, the worst thing for them is that they could be exposed as secret gay lovers, right?
Right.
But I think where I'm kind of going is that, I'm losing my train of thought. The fact that this movie, this movie, when it is portraying them in that way, I think Christian Slater says it best later when he says the only thing those two guys had to offer was date rape and age jokes. Right. So he's kind of spinning it around and saying, look, he's exposing a little bit of your own ignorance. The movie is by saying, yeah, you're laughing along with this joke, but in reality, you're kind of the two jocks too.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe I'm reading into it too much, but I think the script is smarter than just trying to portray homosexuality as a gross or icky thing.
Right. And the edit that I was talking about, they were like, what did they call tone deaf? I even got people to sign the petition to get Big Fun to play at the prom. Yeah, I even got the people who thought they were tone deaf Eurofags. Yeah. But that's not. But I didn't hear that thinking it's like, that was being necessarily negative. It was just a word. I mean, and it is a negative connotation, but not calling them directly gay.
Well, and not only that,
probably calling them androgynous more than anything.
But not only that, it's like the people who are saying that are sort of, they're eye rolled a little bit.
Oh yeah, they're the punk kids that's like, ugh, shut up.
Yeah, but so essentially anyone who's using the word fag in this movie is sort of also being sent up at the same time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's that cleverness that when you can write something very clever like this, or do something very clever with dialogue like this, that it's you're using tough language, but using it expertly. and not in a way where people should say, "Oh my God, they use that word. This
Right.
movie should be
Right.
shut down
Right.
or whatever." No, it's very well, it's satirical.
Yeah. I mean,
This
yeah.
whole thing's a satire.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I
Now
just
I
figured that out.
Oh, I get it.
Oh my God, Chuck!
Mind blown.
Oh my God!
Okay, so what is this movie? It is a teen comedy, high school comedy. Takes place at Westerberg High School in Ohio, and you have the clique of popular girls who run the school, and their names are Heather, and Veronica.
And Veronica.
Yep.
And Veronica is Winona Ryder, and she is our narrator, our main character, our protagonist.
Yeah, the three Heathers. This is, I mean, essentially, this is. People have seen this movie many times since, whether it's Mean Girls or, I mean, hell, they even they even play on that. Remember the old show, The Oblongs?
Oh yeah,
Yeah. I mean, with the Debbies. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what that was. You know,
Yeah.
they played the exact same thing with that. They are waspy teenagers who dress a certain way. They're always color coded.
Yep. Power, envy, happiness.
they're
and
today's
blue,
high school
right?
Yep.
Instagram influencers.
Ugh.
Yep. But that's who they are. Everybody looks to them for how they should dress, behave, act if they want to be cool.
They're the trendsetters.
Yep. And of course that
I'm a JD.
you're what?
You're the angel of death.
Yes. Don't ask me where I was during the early 90s.
And so of course you have the trope here, maybe presented for one of the earlier times, of the ordinary girl taken in, taken under their wing by the popular girls who forsakes her childhood friends to be cool and popular.
But,
it was very, very much so. This was Freaks and Geeks, right? Was the one character of the main female character in that. She does the same thing, and she's trying to be cool, or she's trying to fit in with a different crowd than her childhood friends.
Where
that-
she really fits in.
Right.
Probably.
Just about everybody's done that at some
Absolutely.
point. I mean,
It's an age old thing.
and it was particularly common. I remember it being very, very common in like middle school.
Yeah, you move from elementary school to a new school. You end up, with a different crowd of friends, and you forget the friends that you had when you were in elementary school.
Right around 7th and 8th grade, everybody becomes an asshole.
I think at that point is when you're trying to self-identify too.
Right, you're entering.
You do weird stuff. to
Yep.
See, is this me? Like I pegged my pants, wore a shirt that said "Real Men Wear Black." It was a Raider shirt, and I had black pants on. For like a half a year, I would dress like that, and I was like, "This is not me."
I'm gonna see that so
I'll see
badly.
if I can find a picture.
Real men wear black.
Yep. It was,
Oh
yeah.
my god!
Oh, that's amazing.
I thought I was so cool.
Holy shit, that was like me in Skid's pants. Remember those?
Yes.
Oh,
Oh,
my
yeah.
god, I thought
Oh
it
my
was so
gosh.
fucking cool.
You were not.
Jenkos, is that
not.
what they were called? Everyone wore the
Jenkos.
Jenkos back then.
Yep.
Yep.
So yeah, 7th and 8th, but these kids are a little older.
Right, and this is
This is high school.
high school. In high school, I mean, forever there have been movies about the different type. I mean, like
Yes.
you had your greaser kids and your and your good kids. Like if you look back to like the 50s and 60s, and I mean this is nothing new. But I always thought that high school for me was way easier than middle school. Middle school, man, some people were real dickheads in middle school,
Yeah,
But in high school, everybody, like once everybody got back to like the 90s or like not the 90s, when everybody got into the 9th grade, it's like you're starting over on the bottom again. So everybody's equal. And then you realize that you're a little bit more grown up also.
maybe. Yeah.
At least that was my experience. I mean, those guys stopped wearing the Real Men Wear Black shirts. So.
Yeah. No, some of them were still around. It just wasn't me anymore.
Did you also have the spiky shoulder pads and paint your face?
No, I didn't do that. I didn't do that.
So you weren't a real Raiders
fan. It was kind of a short-lived, thing.
Well, it's like the Big Johnson shirts. God. That was a short-lived thing.
Oh yeah. Surf Wax, Big Johnson.
And then, of course, the more PG or G-rated version of the Big Johnsons were the Big Dog shirts. Remember those?
Oh, yep. God.
Oh, God.
I didn't like those at all.
Those were kind of like dad shirts, though.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I want the dick joke shirts,
Getting back real quickly to the girl who leaves her real friends behind for the popular,
right?
Or the boy, for that matter. I like how Winona Ryder puts this. Her character Veronica puts this, because I don't think I've ever heard it as well put as this. She just says, "They're people that I work with, and our job is being popular."
Yes.
That's what she thinks of her friends.
Well,
right.
It's kind of true, though. I mean, I always thought those people sat around and had like meetings after school, probably on the phone or something, and like trying to figure out what they were going to do the next day, to that poor kid that, has a crush on one of them or whatever. It's like, that's how I always figured it went down.
That's giving him too much credit.
Right. Probably. It's like, oh man, that poor Keith kid's gonna get it tomorrow, man.
Poor Keith.
Yeah. Anyway, I will say I was very lucky in high school to be kind of right in the middle. It's like I could kind of be friends with both sides, but like nobody wanted to do anything mean to me.
Right.
I was very lucky. Middle school, I think everybody is just an asshole. I mean, it's just everybody's being an asshole to somebody else. I hated middle school.
Your middle school sucked.
It did, man. Ask your wife. She knows that middle school.
Yeah, she does.
So, yeah, I mean, this is, it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, you've got the people who, like, when they walk down the hallways, everybody parts. Mm-hmm. It's like, if this was made, like 10 years later, it would have been a slow-mo shot of them walking down the hallway with everybody like looking at them.
Right.
So, it's kind of a, this is really where those tropes kind of begin, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. I think so. In the context of the high school satire. Yeah. And of course you've got like the one, it's like you've got the one girl who's the most normal of the bunch is the one you're following, and of course she does not really like what.
Are you sure she's the most normal? I think she's a little cuckoo.
Well, but like she's the one who like
I
looks...
think Yellow might be the most normal, whatever her name was.
Yeah, Heather.
I guess she'd be number 2. Heather number 2.
Heather number 2.
Yeah, she is probably the most normal person, but like Veronica
has some weird thoughts. I mean,
well, but she's the one who's like, I don't like what they are doing. So
right.
She has normal feelings for other people.
I think, though, that I agree, though, with Chuck in the sense that Veronica is maybe the most disaffected. And that's why JD has such an influence on her.
Right.
Okay. Well, yeah, no, I agree with that. But I mean, I also think that, it's like,
she has some empathy.
She has a moral compass. She has a moral compass.
Yeah.
She has empathy, yes. But she's also, I think... she's probably in some ways the most lost.
Yes, but I think maybe when you say normal, I think she's the one a lot of people could identify with.
Right.
Maybe not that she's completely normal or whatever, but she's definitely got some weird, like, because the movie opens with her basically imagining herself buried with just her head sticking out of the ground, having these girls shoot croquet balls at her. So I don't even know what that means.
Well, maybe it's not that she's the most disaffected, but that we get to know her disaffection better than anyone else's.
Right.
So we come to find things to relate to, but the things that don't hit for us don't hit.
Right.
Right. So in that sense, maybe she's just more disaffected than you remember being.
Probably. Yeah.
But probably everyone has different flavors of that.
Right.
sure.
So she's trying to appeal to teenage angst in general.
Right.
Yeah.
Teenage angst. Don't do it. Yeah. No, I mean, this is also right at the beginning of that time where you start. I mean, like, this is right around the time the grunge started hitting, and it's like you're starting to understand that it's like, oh yeah, like some of the people, kids always wanted to be treated like adults, but now kids are angry that they feel like they don't have a choice. When I think it's actually put really, really well by Veronica's parents, where they basically say it's like whenever you're complaining about wanting to be treated like an adult, it's usually when you are being treated like an adult.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, because like, hey, guess what, kid? It doesn't get any better.
It doesn't change.
It doesn't change. Yeah, being treated like an adult is not what you think it is.
I always like that too, because her mom kind of snaps out of some sort of blasé, everyday kind of
hypnosis. It's rich upper class or upper middle class.
Yeah,
waspiness.
Right, but she almost becomes a real person again for that moment.
Right,
but only to sort of beat her daughter down with reality.
Right,
because she's like, well, you're just gonna be just like me one day. So it's pretty fucking depressing. It's a dose of reality, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
So I wonder, like, if half of the stuff that actually happens in this movie is real, because everyone is so one note all the time. It's like everyone acts as Veronica sees them constantly.
Well, she's the narrator.
None of them vary whatsoever. It doesn't always work that way in narration, I guess, but it seems
but you are seeing it from her point of view. So she is creating the world,
right?
Where the only person that you see in two different ways is JD, because of her perspective changes on him,
right?
Like even at the end when she makes friends with.
Dump truck.
Yeah, I almost said something else.
Yeah,
because it's like that was the first thing that came to mind. It's like, oh, I shouldn't say that. Dump truck. Yeah, like the way dump truck like circles around her with her little scooter. It's like that's even how I think she thinks being nice to somebody would result in, because
making her
is
the center of the universe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think there is something there where you're right. People are one note because we're seeing them through the purview of our lead character.
Yeah.
So, I don't even know. We should talk about the opening scene, the cafeteria scene, where everyone's kind of introduced.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
is actually a really cool way to get to know all of the major players for the most part.
Yeah. Well, you know what I really miss in these types of movies like that, in the cafeteria scene that wasn't in this movie?
What? Fight?
No, having that scene, like disturbing behavior, where you have the one disaffected kid pointing out every table and explaining to you what their character types are.
Right.
Because I sometimes need that sort of thing really nailed home.
Breakfast Club.
I really need that hammered home. Yeah.
A funny thing about this scene, I did not know this until I had looked up a little bit of information here, but Daniel Waters, the writer of this movie, who we've met before.
We've crossed paths with him a couple times.
Yeah.
And a couple weeks more recently, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he wrote the movie we just loved so much, Hudson Hawk. This kind of gives you a little bit of insight into Daniel Waters' psyche. He wanted his screenplay to be directed by Stanley Kubrick.
Well, I would like one of my screenplays to be directed by Stanley Kubrick,
but
too.
like not out of admiration for him, but also from the perspective that Kubrick was the only person who could get away with a 3-hour film. So did he imagine Heathers to be a 3-hour movie?
Apparently, the script was 200 pages long. The first write of it was 200 pages long.
Well, he could have probably just asked Kevin Costner.
Sure. he might have jumped at the chance. And the cafeteria scene near the start of Heathers was written as an homage to the barrack scene, which opens Kubrick's Full Metal Jacket.
Yes.
Huh, okay.
It's pretty awesome.
I dig it.
It does very much the same thing. It introduces you all the major players. Yep.
But we don't have Nick Stahl there to tell me exactly what these people are. I need to know this. Anyway, Whatever happened to that kid?
Nick Stahl.
Yeah,
I know. Well, he got into trouble with drugs,
of course.
and I think he disappeared for a while too. And they thought he was presumed dead, but they found him. Like, he's had a rough life.
That is rough,
He
man.
he kind of like hit big in Hollywood for a minute, and then it all crashed down. It was like classic story, you know. I think he was supposed to be at Horror Hound a couple years ago.
Was it him or Devin Sawa?
I'm pretty sure Nick Stahl was there, maybe at the last one.
I have a lot of questions for Devin Sawa for The Fanatic. I hope I see him someday.
Ooh.
I've got questions, sir.
Questions?
Do you really like Limp Bizkit?
What's he gonna say? It's like, sure.
Anyway, so you're getting to see everybody, and the first thing that really happens is because Veronica's really good at impersonating other people's handwriting. Yeah. That's really important. Yeah, as it turns out.
Yeah, she's got this big IQ, she says, but really her only superpower is that she can. Yeah,
right. She can forge.
She could forge signatures. Or
she never really
forge
acts
handwriting.
Terribly smart.
She does
in
not.
this movie at all.
No, all she does is she uses words and phrases that we all think makes us sound smart when we're in high school.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's the beginning of that trope too, which is fine. I mean, I like it. It's charming.
This one I think skirts the line of the articulate teen, right?
Yes.
So usually you have high school kids that speak far more articulately than they actually ever would potentially, even as adults, hope to speak as.
Right.
But this movie does a little bit of both. It has its own kind of high school lingo that's sort of a Frankenstein of a lot of different.
Yes.
Which might honestly make sense in the Midwest. I don't know.
Well, but at the same time also, though, it's like a lot of these kind of tropes like this, or a lot of the movies that utilize that articulate teen, but you always knew somebody who thought they were smarter, more enlightened, more.
But I do believe that that's what it's doing here.
Yeah.
Is especially with Christian Slater's character, his greetings and salutations, like that kind of bullshit, right? That's some goofball trying to sound different.
Right. It's
Yeah.
like, that's my thing.
Right. Exactly.
But yeah, some of the language in this film too, I think was like new vernacular almost. Like, what's your damage? I don't think people were saying that.
I don't remember anyone saying very. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that either. But what's your damage carried on past the film?
But very is sort of like, oh, that's choice or whatever,
it's
you
so
know?
very.
Yeah.
It's so very. It's so Trey. Remember that happened in the early '90s, I think.
What was it in Mean Girls? Was it something in that?
Yes.
I can't remember.
Damn it! I don't watch that movie as much as I should.
And it was something in the Alicia Silverstone movie too. Clueless.
Yeah. Oh God, that's one I'd like. I want to talk about that and Fast Times back to back sometime.
But yeah. Anyway.
Oh God damn it!
It's gonna drive me crazy.
In Clueless, it was something they shortened something, didn't they? Anyway, but yeah, so it's like that's where we see like, okay, so Veronica's being tasked to write a love letter from one of the jocks to Dump Truck, which is this poor fat girl that has no friends, that just kind of hangs out in the corner by herself. Everybody picks on her, particularly the Heathers pick on her.
Yep.
And so she does it, and then they sneak the letter onto her tray.
Right.
So when she says that, and when she starts reading, that's even though Veronica wrote it, that's when you first see her humanity, because she doesn't want to watch her read it.
Yeah, she feels bad about it.
She feels bad about it.
Right.
So, but they do this thing that's called like lunchtime survey or something.
Yeah, it's a survey.
It's a survey that they do. And so they go around, they ask a question, and the Heathers kind of run this thing.
Yeah.
And so they go around, and it's a question about like, if you won the Publishers Clearinghouse $5 million, and on the like
2 days later,
and you knew 2 days later aliens were going to destroy the Earth, what would you do with the money?
Yeah. Right. Which is that's a weird question, but it's like
the stupidest fucking question I've ever heard.
Yeah, it is.
You didn't say it like Jack Nicholson,
right? I did.
Yeah, you got to draw that out.
Got to say it like Jack Nicholson.
You got to draw it out a little bit with a little bit of tinge. No, so they're like going around. Some people are like, "Oh, I give it all to the poor" or whatever, and Veronica likes that.
Well, they also use part of the slang is they use beautiful
You're beautiful.
as sarcasm.
Yeah.
But I think
it's almost the same version of "Oh, you white knight," right?
right, but I think she says it differently than what she wrote originally in her diary.
I don't
Maybe
believe
when they
so.
but when they walk away, she makes fun of her for
Yeah.
giving all the money to charity.
And Heather number 1 is actually mad at her for
Why are you-
insulting her.
Yeah, why are you
Yeah.
insulting her?
Yeah. It was sarcasm.
Okay, I guess so. But then one guy was like, "Well, I'd give it to my dad, who's like the top broker in the state." And it's like, well, that's fucking stupid. So Veronica walks up to JD.
He's a new kid at school.
Yeah, what's his name?
Jason Dean.
Jason Dean.
Jason Dean. Yep.
Yeah, because I
Not
was
James
about
Dean,
to call him
Jason
James
Dean,
Dean.
yep.
Yeah, Jason Dean, and he's sitting there. He's kind of new kid in school, right?
Well, I think he's supposed to be James Dean in a way.
Sure.
Oh, most definitely.
He's the late '80s version.
Which
Of,
is
instead
funny
of instead of the red jacket, he's got a duster on.
Like
Yeah.
I think Ram is, in the beginning when he's like, "Who does he think he is?" Bo Diddley. Is thinking James Dean is thinking James Dean in his head, but he uses the wrong name.
Which is
made
not
that-
even
made me-
close.
No, it's not even near. But that
It's
shows
funny.
how stupid he is.
Yes.
Right.
How stupid Ram is.
Who's he think he is? Bo Diddley?
Oh man.
So then he comes out and it's like, well, and she's kind of enamored by him because he's the dark brooding,
Right.
Jack Nicholson of the school.
Right.
We all had one of those.
Apparently, that was an actor's choice to do an impression of
Really?
Jack Nicholson. for
I was
the
going to
film.
ask about that because he did it for the rest of his career.
Well, no, kind of. I think. But he did.
We ain't done yet today
No,
with that.
no. I mean, his voice is so there already.
Yeah.
I think, but he I think did this on purpose. He did an impression of Jack Nicholson in the film.
It's-
At least he said.
Fair
I
enough.
wonder if he just said that because
People are like, are
they
you
were
just
like,
making
you
fun
sound
of
a
him?
lot like Jack Nicholson. It's like, oh yeah, that was a choice. Conscious
Right.
choice.
We never got that movie with him and Jack Nicholson. That
There's
I
still
thought
time,
for
isn't there?
sure. Well, yeah, but I thought
Dude,
for
all
sure.
right, much time.
Yeah, I know. Not if Jack
Let's
Nicholson
be
keeps
real.
eating 72 hot dogs in the ocean.
What?
Have you not seen these pictures of him out on the boat and he's eating like food constantly? Oh, you gotta find them. They're great.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's
Oh my
awesome.
God,
They're
what's he
great.
gonna
I mean,
do
if
now?
I were
that-
Jack Nicholson, I guess that's
Well,
one of the
what
things I would
Live
do.
your best
Yeah,
life at the
yeah.
end. Why not?
Well,
That's what you wanna do. Do
he
it.
can't go to the Lakers games. What's he gonna do now?
True.
Oh, I don't know.
Ooh,
Ugh.
ooh. They were gonna go to probably the finals again.
No, we'll get. Well, that's another topic, but I think the NBA season will finish.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just suspended,
Yeah.
not canceled. So,
Yeah.
We're dating this episode because who knows? It could have started up already.
yeah. Hey, let's talk about how the sausage is made. We're recording this even before the movie we talked about 2 weeks ago. So
We're actually quarantined.
we're all wearing
We're doing nothing but Film Seizure episodes for the next 2 weeks because we're
and
stuck
murdering each other.
in our home.
Yeah.
It's going to turn into a lighthouse situation.
Yeah.
Well,
Which begs the question, who's the mermaid?
we all know it's Chuck. Now, Chuck, did you remember
Is that a good thing or a bad
That's
thing?
probably not a good thing.
Chuck, you were not dreaming when you caught me dipping my ball sack on Jason's forehead the other night. So
Okay. Yeah.
you got up to go to the
Whoa.
bathroom, and I'm like, just keep going.
I'm glad it was his forehead.
Yeah, no, you don't want to know what I've done to
We've
you.
been drinking lots of Perrier.
Mineral
you gotta
water.
Mineral
Leave
water.
you guys with a bag of homosexual artifacts. I'm dead, and I'll pretend I was never here.
Chuck does the he tiptoes out.
Yep.
Just closes the door behind him slowly.
And someone will come in here and find you guys' bodies and be like, "Oh, the humanity."
What a waste. So she goes up to Christian Slater, and he's like, hey, greetings and salutations. He's noticed her because we're not a writer.
They show him looking at her quite a bit.
Yeah,
Through.
I would too, man.
Yeah.
I get it. And he's like, and she's like, well, I got a question for you. It's kind of stupid because she's like kind of into, or whatever, into him. And he's like, there are no stupid questions.
Right.
And then she's like, so if you got the $5 million, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, that's the dumbest fucking question
That's
I've ever
the
heard.
stupidest question I've ever heard.
Yeah. And then he talks about just like going out into a lake with a bottle of tequila and just like, I guess, watching the world burn.
Oh yeah, he woos her so hard right there.
Right there, like right there, she just ruined her panties.
Yep.
Right
Yep.
there,
He speaks to her
she ruined her tights.
disaffection.
Yep.
Yep.
So they start like instantly, like they're like on it, but he also knows that she is not happy being a Heather. She goes to like a college party, and like, of course guys are, playing grab ass with the high school kids, as you do.
Oh, it's so nice not to have to ask somebody what their major is at a party like this.
I'm so
and then,
tired of that.
And then followed up by, so what classes do you think you're going to study when you get to college? That's like a funny, clever
Yes.
joke.
Well, in our first before that, our first sense that JD might be a little off kilter
Right.
is when the two jocks, what are their names again? Kurt and Ram and Kurt. Yeah.
They come up and it's like, I didn't know they let homos into the cafeteria or whatever.
It's like when they got open door policy on assholes. Yeah.
And they don't know what to say.
But I love before they get up to talk to him though. Ram wants to kick his ass.
Yes.
And Kurt is like, no, man, we're in high school now. We're too old to kick
fight.
people's asses
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah, the evolved.
And then he waits a beat. He's like, but let's give him a good scare, though.
Yep.
And so they're like, messing with him, and he pulls out like the most dirty hairy gun that Dirty Harry's ever had. And like it looks like he shoots him in the face, but it's just he's shooting blanks.
Yeah.
And like the Heathers are like, oh, they should kick him out and expel him or whatever. And Veronica says the only thing he did was ruin a couple of pairs of pants,
basically,
or boxers or something like that. Yeah. And so anyway, so she goes to like this college party with the main Heather. McNamara, is that the main one?
Heather 1, that's what I'm going to call
Heather 1.
Yeah.
And like she's kind of like, oh, you're ruining this for me by not really wanting to be there, not really wanting, like, and
She's not going to have sex with the
guy who
She's essentially whoring her friend out so that to gain more favors with college boys.
Yep.
right,
That's what's happening there.
which is so bizarre because it's like, when you go to college, you maybe don't even see your roommate. Like until the night, maybe not for days.
Right.
I mean, that's, I don't know. I remember my 18 years in college.
But while this is happening, I'll bring you out of
Yeah,
that.
I'm a doctor.
I'm going to bring you out of that.
Well,
Jeff Arbuckle, MD.
MD. Well, I have to perform enemas every week. So.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Fridays, right?
Yep, that's right.
Fridays. While they're at the party.
Open door policy for assholes.
It's a requirement. Not a
That's your livelihood, man.
yeah. But she's writing her diary entry
Right.
again in her giant words.
Oh my God, she goes through so many diary books.
And Jason, yeah, she does. She's got a closet full of them. But she's wearing a monocle, and Jason said he never noticed that before.
I was like, oh
I've
my God,
never
she
noticed
wears
the
a monocle
monocle.
when she writes.
This has to be significant.
It's got to be something, but I don't know what the hell
I
it
think
could
it's
be.
just to be cool.
Yeah, but if her eye vision is fine, and she's wearing a monocle, she's got to be like,
What are monocles for? Is
Reading.
Well, yes, but is it when one eye is worse than the other?
yes.
I don't think necessarily.
So do you read through one eye?
Well, when you're writing, basically you focus with one eye.
I feel like you do.
Well, you're gonna have to if you're wearing a monocle.
Right, but why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just wear glasses then? The only
Because
thing.
glasses make you look like a dork.
What is the function of a monocle? I've got to ask the
Two out of
my
three
genius
people in this
phone.
room looks like
While
a
you're-
dork.
While you're looking that up, she's writing and talking about wanting to kill Heather number 1.
Yeah, because she's so over this bullshit,
Yes.
and she got basically whored out.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she literally lights a fire at the party on accident, but it's still like this is the fire that starts her murderous ways almost.
Almost murderous ways.
Yeah,
Because she
almost.
just thinks that she's going to have a bit of fun with JD, scaring the popular kids.
Okay, so it's what I thought. It's when you have one eye that's worse than the other, and to avoid having to squint, one eye to read, you wear one to correct your vision on one eye.
But she's not squinting when she's wearing them, so there's something.
No, you
going-
wouldn't squint.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
the
you're
point.
right. You're right.
She would be
Sorry.
squinting if she didn't have her monocle in.
Right.
Yeah.
But who's worn a monocle in the last? I mean, outside of Winona Ryder from Heathers.
Well, I think part of it too is that
and Monopoly Man.
is that you have prescription strengths are different. You have so much nuance in prescriptions now.
Sure.
And I mean, I'm probably a good example of someone who would have probably worn a monocle in the old days, because I have one eye that is 20/20 and I have one eye that's not.
I would
So sometimes-
please get a fucking monocle.
I don't think she needs the monocle, though. Was my point.
And most people
it
nowadays
could just be a flat pane.
and
yeah.
most people nowadays would just have a glass pane and one with a prescription.
But please get a monocle, Jason Oliver.
That would be amazing.
Because she didn't wear a monocle at the school when she's writing the notes.
Correct.
So the monocle has to either be just a joke, or it's significant in some way that we're not. Getting.
I would tend to agree. Yes.
Yeah.
I was just trying to
No, I get you,
determine
I
the
get
full
you.
function
Yeah.
of a monocle
Yeah.
for some reason.
It's so important.
So at this point, like, that's when JD's like, hey, I can give you what you want to basically rid yourself of
Right.
the Heathers.
He becomes the id of the situation.
Yes.
He's doing exactly what she can't bring herself to do.
Right.
But might actually want to do, or at least says she wants to do. And she's like, no, I want to mix milk with orange juice to make her throw up.
Right, because
He's
the
like,
next
"No, I'm
morning,
whatever he says.
yeah, I like Big Blue,
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
Big Blue. I want her.
which is with a drain clearing.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so like basically, the following morning after this party, Veronica thinks we're gonna play a prank on Heather 1, and we're gonna make her drink something that's gonna make her throw up, and we're gonna have a good laugh at her.
Right.
Because she would never do that.
Right.
She would not. She's so perfect
She
in
wouldn't
every
have
way.
drank too much and be hungover. Blah,
Exactly.
blah, blah.
Exactly. Or at least she would hide it. And so anyway, they end up poisoning her
Yeah,
with the blue drain cleaner.
She grabs the wrong cup while she's kissing him, presumably.
He
grabs it and walks away, and he looks and sees the right cup there, and he's like, "Oh, I'll just carry the cup for you."
yeah.
And he goes and grabs the cup with the Drano in it. We'll just call it Drano. It's Big Blue, right?
Well, whatever it was called. It was something called, it was a hole cleaner or something is what they
right. I don't know
called
what
it.
the hell it was for. But
It cleans your hole.
yeah, your hole.
Your hole.
Your wholeness?
Your wholeness.
Yeah.
Ah.
Jason's still
lost.
looking up monocles.
There's a harebrained theory about why she wears a monocle.
She the Monopoly Man? In
Probably
secret?
like left, right brain bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It very much so is, and that it's possible.
I almost brought
and
that
it's possible that JD is a figment of her imagination. And she's disrupting the logical functions of her brain by using her right eye. I don't know.
That's
probably
kind
a
of
bit
interesting.
much.
Yeah.
It's probably a bit much, but I do get the feeling a lot in this movie that JD isn't exactly real.
Right.
Or at least
So,
not who.
she's telling us he
She's
is.
telling us what he's like at the very least.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
that's, yeah.
So she ends up at that point, right? Or she, Heather number 1, Red Heather, drinks the stuff because she's dared to. It's almost like the Back to the Future thing.
Yeah, right.
You don't call me chicken, whatever, but then she drinks it and falls through her table.
Her last word was
Corn nuts.
corn nuts.
Yeah, was that really what she said?
Yes.
That's what it sounded like.
Corn nuts. Now, either she said that as she realized she drank something she shouldn't have. It's like, oh, corn nuts. Or literally, that's what her last words were.
Right.
Beavers
I was
and
wondering
ducks.
about that. I meant to actually look to see if there was anything written.
I
on that anywhere.
suspect that if it's meant to be, like maybe it was, because also what happens after that? They write a suicide note. The suicide note becomes this very oh my god, it's so deep and
Right.
so important. So like, but her last words was something fucking stupid.
Yeah, if they just wrote her real last words.
If
that-
nobody would have been like, what
Yeah.
a joke.
She has zero. She has zero depth, right?
Right.
She has no heart. or
She has no
whatever you
heart.
wanna
She has
say.
no depth. She's just, she's a walking credit card.
Yeah. So it's funny in that scene too, or like a nice little nod when JD's trying to think what to do. He looks down and he sees the bell jar.
Right.
which is by Sylvia Plath, who killed herself.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's like,
that's
oh,
where he gets the idea
of doing the suicide note.
Yeah.
So then after that, it's like now JD has his chance to just get rid of anybody he doesn't like.
Right.
And the next
Or
target,
anybody Heather or Veronica.
well,
doesn't
he
like.
says what she doesn't like, but
Right.
it's right. But like because the next duo are the jocks, Ram and Kurt.
Right.
Because Kurt's is it Kurt that's going out on a date with Heather number 3?
Number
2.
2, we'll call Heather number 3. We'll call Shannon Doherty.
Okay, so Heather number 2 is going out on a date with one of the jocks, and the other jock, and they're never seen apart. Doesn't Kurt and Ram, and they don't. The other guy doesn't have a date, so it's like, hey, Veronica, will you just do this or whatever? And
he's really nice to me. After the funeral and everything like that for
Right.
Heather number 1. I think it's Ram that's dating her.
Okay, and Kurt was the one. Okay,
Yeah,
so
Kurt's the quarterback.
right, and all Kurt wants is like sex.
Yeah.
That's it.
He's like, I want a little action. And they're hammered.
Right, because
Cow
they want to
tipping.
go cow tipping. That's
Yeah.
what they think a good time is
Yeah,
for the girls.
it's funny because she's like, I don't want to go if it's going to turn into one of those nights where they get drunk and go cow tipping.
And that's exactly
next
what
scene,
happens.
that's where-
That's exactly what
Of
happens.
course it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the next day, the guy tells everybody that that she sucked them both off. They had a sword fight in their
Sword
mouth.
fight in her mouth.
Yep.
Yep.
And so, Christian Slater gets wind of this, and he's like, well, let's get them. I've got these special bullets that will only pierce the skin, and they'll probably pass out from the shock.
Right.
Or from the, believing they were being shot. Oh, okay. And so they have this elaborate plan to basically draw these two guys out so that Veronica can give them what they want, and that she has her own fantasy about that.
Right.
And they shoot the two guys after one of them gets away because she misses shooting him.
Well, you got to go. The blank bullet thing is pretty interesting, like how gullible
Yeah.
Yeah,
Veronica
she
is.
just buys in that. Oh yeah, these are trick bullets. He had blanks in the gun the other day, so these
But
must.
he says they're bullets that will knock them out and show a little blood.
right,
Right.
And then he asks her, do you speak German? And she says, no, French. And the word he calls the bullets actually is like "ich lüge" or something like that. It means I'm lying. Because she doesn't speak German.
She realizes
He's like,
it later that's what it means.
Maybe, yeah.
No, she
Well,
does
I mean,
because she's like, "Oh
obviously-
my god, I'm so stupid."
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Sorry if I.
No, that's fine. No,
Part of her being gullible, I think, lends itself to the theory that he is a figment of her imagination.
It's her id.
It's her. Yeah. Well, her part of her id, I guess. Yeah.
Well, it speaks to her.
It's some part of her that is convincing her to do these things.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether that's the it or not, I don't know. But
semi-bel-
yeah.
Yeah, it is the animalistic part that would tell you to do shit you shouldn't do.
Right.
Yeah.
And your ego or your super ego is supposed to say, yo, dude,
Yeah.
chill out.
Right.
I know you get that stuff.
I get it, but I also sometimes I think that the it's not necessarily the id. It's it could be some part of her that isn't. It's not what she wants to do necessarily,
Well, it's fantasy.
but yes, and she's it's some part of a personality even that's kind of taking over.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, because then okay, so they this elaborate setup, and the plan is they're going to both be shot, and there's going to be a note left behind with the homosexual artifacts.
Yeah.
That will prove or that will show that they had a gay
The
relationship
secret love.
that they
for
could
one another.
not reveal to the world because the world is not an understanding place.
It's not ready for us. It's not ready.
Not ready
people.
for
It's
us,
not
man.
accepting of people like us.
You're right. And so the best line of the whole movie. So they end up killing the two guys, and of course Veronica's like, "Oh my god." It's like you talked me into killing somebody else again.
Right.
And at the funeral later that day, because that's the other thing I like. The funerals happen immediately.
Yes.
Like and
Next scene.
Yeah, and there's a running gag early on in the movie where Veronica always has to get ready for something if she's going to do a thing on time.
Yep.
And one of them is to go to a funeral.
Yeah, this is great pate, but if I need to get ready if I'm going to make it to this funeral.
I've got a motor.
I got a motor. So Jason, let's talk about.
Well, all right. All right.
Let's talk about this funeral.
So the joke is that the dad, he goes up to
eulogize
his son. Yes.
Which is Kurt, I think.
You googly. He goes up to eulogize his son, Kurt. I believe it is Kurt. Yeah. And he puts the football in his hands, and he's like,
oh, they're buried in their helmets.
Yes,
That's
they're buried
so
in their
great.
football uniforms. Of course they are. And he talks about, it doesn't matter if my son was a pansy or not.
Yeah.
It's like, we just didn't understand when you were alive. And he blurts out to end his eulogy, "I love my dead gay son." What I love about this is the idealism there. Like if he was really, let's say, homosexual, and he probably would have wanted his father to accept him in that way. Like it would almost be like, this is what I have to do to get acceptance, right?
Yeah.
And so there's this really sort of satirical and biting irony in the fact that they shoot that fantasy
Right.
as a reality in this movie, when in no way, shape, or form has that probably ever happened.
Right.
Right.
But it kills me.
I love my dead gay son.
I love my dead gay son.
So there's something else that's going on here that begins with the first Heather's death, and that is they become martyrs. Everybody who kills themselves are now seen as the best people. Like everybody has wonderful things to say about them, and everything is, and there's a kind of a hippie teacher who is really taking advantage of this so that everybody can share their feelings, and like she's been waiting for this moment for the last 20 years.
We need an emotional outpouring of emotions.
Right. Yes, an emotional outpouring of emotions.
That is it.
Yeah. So the so like Heather, or no, not Veronica, is getting rid of the Heathers and the people in her life that she never really felt like she was a part of, that she never really liked, that she were always mean to other people. But now all of a sudden they're more popular than ever. Mm-hmm. They are, it's like the saying, it's like everybody's perfect when they're dead.
So here's I want to bring this up because it was a theme I was picking up on, and really it's kind of given to you in the beginning when she's writing her first diary entry, or I guess it's the second one, but she calls Heather number 1 the Wicked Witch of the West, or the Wicked Witch of the East. I can't.
She couldn't remember which one.
She's either good or bad. Well, yeah, either she couldn't remember or she was unclear in her own.
She was
mind
already waffling.
Who's good or who's bad?
Right.
So and
then she even says, "Listen to me, I sound like a lunatic."
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So another thing later, she says after the 2 jocks are killed, she says, "Dear diary, my teen angst bullshit has a body count. Everybody's sad, but it's kind of a weird kind of sad. Suicide gave Heather depth, Kurt a soul, and Ram a brain."
Right.
Another Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, totally.
Another reason to think that what's happening is not real.
Sure.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
And it's in her head. But
yeah.
she says, "I don't know what it's given me, but I have no control over myself when I'm with JD. Are we going to prom or to hell?" So there's a lot of little hints dropped in this movie about things not being what they seem necessarily.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
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 I looked for
JD
other
is
Wizard of
fucking
Oz
Tyler
stuff.
Durden, man.
Yeah, totally. But I looked for other Wizard of Oz stuff because I figured it would come up again, and I didn't.
Well, because you
really-
asked her what her last name was, which is Sawyer.
Yeah.
What was Dorothy's last name in The Wizard of Oz?
Gale.
Dorothy Gale.
Wow. Well, we know who's drinking mineral water at this table.
Yep.
Big Judy Garland fan.
Somewhere over the rainbow.
I've got a 4x10 in my wallet.
Yeah.
It's all folded up.
4x10?
Yeah, it's all folded up.
You have a huge wallet.
I do.
It's like a full length picture. It's like a full length picture of
His wallet is like a picture frame. And he keeps his money behind.
It's a valise, damn it.
So so basically that's where essentially the murders ultimately end. But the problem is all of this is now what was meant to make her life seemingly better or make her feel better about her life. It's now like, well, it's gone beyond her control. She's now made these people into martyrs.
Right. And Yellow, Heather number 2, decides that she's going to kill herself.
Right,
after she calls in hot probs.
Hot probs.
I don't know if we want to talk about
because she wanted to be the high school cheerleading captain, but wasn't, or something. Also, Veronica is also trying to like reconnect with an old friend of hers that was one of the other smart kids that she kind of left behind to become one of the Heathers.
Yeah.
And so there's like, she's trying to just separate herself and just be the person that she wants to be.
Right.
Not who she feels like she has to be.
This is where the fight between JD and Veronica takes place. And whether it's real or imagined, JD still wants to take her down the path of murder. And she's realized that what they're doing is wrong.
And it's not even solving anything.
No.
They're just
it's making things worse. And it's making people who generally are happy, like Heather number 2, think that suicide is a legit option.
Right. And then Dump Truck wants to kill herself to be popular.
Yeah.
Because she's always been on the outside. And so, And meanwhile, JD also props up Heather number 3, Shannon Doherty.
Yeah.
The Heather number 3. We'll just call her whatever. Anyway, so props her up to basically fill the void that Heather number 1 has left behind. And obviously Heather number 2 is too weak to do. JD's all about strength.
Yeah.
We need strong leadership, and Veronica needs to stay strong to stay the course and continue to wipe these people out.
Right.
And he kind of basically blackmails Shannon Doherty into it by was she friends with Dump Truck? Is that what it was?
Yes,
okay. She was.
He had pictures of her and Dump Truck as kids, hanging out.
So she's right, and so and Veronica just wants to be friends again with Betty. Finn was her old friend, and so basically she's trying to separate herself from it, and just block out the noise and just be a good person. JD's like, we're gonna wipe out fucking everybody, and when she doesn't want to do that, well, it's her turn to go because she's now a obstacle to JD.
Right.
And so she fakes her hanging, which the mom comes in and finds. She's like, hey, chill out, Mom. What's up?
Yeah.
Is dinner ready? But JD, ultimately his plan is to blow up the school during a prep rally.
Yep.
And he spills this to what he thinks is the dead Veronica.
Right.
So she knows now what to stop.
1 sec. I want to go back to the scene with the mom and Veronica when Mom recognizes or sees that Veronica has killed herself or thinks that Veronica has killed herself. Her what she says is weird. And I think there's something there. She says, I should have let you take that job at the mall, but I didn't want you walking home late at night by yourself.
Right.
Right.
That's the thing that she thought drove her daughter to kill herself.
Yeah,
well,
I wondered about that line too.
But to me, that represents how out of touch.
Well, it represents the shallowness of the world of this movie.
Well, not only that, but how out of touch her mom is with her daughter.
Sure. She had that one
that
moment.
would be the thing.
Right,
They probably got in a big fight over it.
Right.
And that's the thing that drove her.
Well, they had that one moment of clarity where, it's like, hey, dumb kid, you are being treated like an adult. This is it. You've got it.
Right.
It sucks, doesn't it? Yeah. So, I mean, those are the two. Yeah, those are the mom's two. Of course, there's also like the dad is completely numb to the world. Like he's just a shell of a person. Like he smokes because he's an idiot. He he reads spy novels so like he's just doing things
He's
that
like, why do I do this again?
Right, he's doing things that society says a male should do. But he's really just
And then he's and then he's called an idiot by his daughter, and he's just like, "Oh yeah, that's right."
That's
Yeah.
right.
It's-
Which the second time around, the mom's like, "Oh, you two."
She says that.
She says that both
Oh,
times.
she
Yeah.
says it both times.
Yeah.
So it's kind of I mean, it's
It's their playful banter, but it's
but
commentary
it's,
too.
and it's also cookie cutter. It happens every day at the same time, at the same place.
Yep.
And it's I mean, these people are
Great pate, mom.
but I got a motor if I'm going to make it to this funeral.
Yep.
So there's
So anyway, she was going to confront JD essentially at this point.
right, because like JD's dad is a he's a destruction or a
Demolition expert.
that's it, Demolition Man.
and-
Oh my God! Daniel Waters wrote Demolition Man too.
Yep. This is where he got the idea.
I literally saw Jeff's head explode. He doesn't exist anymore.
It's just my neck is now turned into a mouth.
Yep.
I wasn't quite clear on if he's blowing up these buildings legally or not.
I wasn't either.
Okay.
Well, I don't think he cared that his wife walked into one right before he blew it up.
He didn't seem
I
to
feel
care.
like that was murder instead of
I got
suicide.
that feeling too.
Yeah.
I got that feeling it was murder.
It's murder.
Murder
I
most foul.
suspect foul play.
Oh my God, Daniel Craig's here.
Yep.
Welcome everybody. We got a
Special guest star.
So anyway, so basically she knows the plan, and of course there's a pep rally because every Friday is a pep rally.
Right.
So she goes to stop JD. Shoots off a finger when he flies the bird at her. Shoots that off. He knees her in the face.
Yeah.
That's kind of damn.
Yeah.
But he's got some dynamite in the basement or in the boiler that's going to set off plastic explosives or something.
Right.
C4, I think she said, on the top level, which is a move that his dad mentioned earlier in a scene with the three of them. So basically, she thinks she's killed him by shooting him, but he comes out of the school later, and she's like covered in grease and soot and everything from the basement. And he's like, "Hey, the slate's going to be clean." He wanted to clean the slate by blowing up the school, and everybody realizing that the school. That somebody didn't blow up the school blew up itself with its social
Because it is society.
It is society.
Yeah.
So then he was like, "I'm
Deep,
gonna
isn't it?
never." Yeah, he does say that.
Yeah.
That's pretty deep. So he says he's going to clean the slate anyway, and he's going to blow himself up because he strapped that dynamite to himself.
Yeah.
And he just blows himself up. And
Did you mention that that he says that everybody's happy in heaven?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the only place where different types of people can mingle, can coexist.
That's some goofy shit.
Yep.
I mean, I'm trying to figure there. Again, I'm trying to read the satire. Is he making JD just intentionally shallow again? Like
I think so.
Like, you think you're thinking deep thoughts,
But he isn't. He's
But you're
just
not.
as shallow as everybody else that
Right.
he claims to hate.
that's kind of the way I take
Yeah,
it.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
So then he, and he could say that with a satirical thought in mind. It's like, well, that's what everybody believes.
Motivated enough to blow up an entire high school, there's got to be something disconnected.
Sure.
That's not something you do.
No.
So I just wonder, like, what the real psychic break is, and it's his mom. I mean,
Well, he watched his mom wave goodbye to him before he watched the building come down on top of
right.
her.
Yeah.
Which was a library. His dad blew up a library. His dad blew up a place that people were desperately trying to save. His dad blows up everything. And now
he just
his
wants
life.
to live with his mom in heaven.
Yep, that's what he wants. That's pretty deep.
Pretty deep.
But when he explodes, the cigarette that's hanging out of Winona Ryder's mouth lights so she can smoke her cigarette. She goes back into school, takes the crown, which is a red ribbon from Heather number 1 that now Shannon Doherty's wearing as the new queen bitch of the school.
Yeah.
And she's like, there's a new sheriff in town. And then she goes and makes friends with Dump Truck. That's kind of a sweet little ending.
Another reason I think that none of the JD stuff happened is Heather number 3, Shannon Doherty says she looks like hell when she sees Veronica. There's no way she would have said it that way if she was actually bleeding all over. It looked like she came out of an explosion. I think she just showed up to school unshowered. You know what I mean?
Unkempt.
Yes.
Because Dump Truck says nothing to it.
No.
She's like, she's just more enamored by the fact that it's like, hey, you know, I ain't got no prom day. You want to like hang out, go rent some new releases?
Right.
I love how she says that too.
Yep.
Rent some new releases, pop some corn, and just hang out.
And it's all Dump Truck ever wanted, because then she's just circling around her like a little puppy, or like, you know, it's yeah.
It's a new
orbit. Yes.
Yep, a new orbit.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I mean, so obviously, I mean, we've kind of touched upon this. I mean, this movie's got things to say about, like, you know, and they do it in a comedic way by way of murder. You know, it's the thing that everybody is like, oh, I wish that guy would just drop dead because he fucking picks on me or whatever.
It's like a what if. What if you
what if you
upon that
exactly
feeling that you have, whether you want to call it the id or whatever. Like, what if you actually carried this out?
Right. And yeah, it's you know, but at the same time though, it's like it's so fantastical that I don't think it can be. I mean, it says serious things, but this is a movie that's not to be taken seriously.
No.
You know, nobody. I mean,
it's kind of like a Vonnegut approach to humor almost. I mean, it's satire, so I will always think of Vonnegut when there's satire.
Would you also say it's maybe a little bit of Chuck Palahniuk?
Sure,
because of the Fight Club.
Absolutely, yeah.
But you take those things that are terrible and allow you to laugh at them, but they also make you think about those things.
Right.
You know, it lets you examine suicide without being terrified.
Right.
You know what I mean? Of the subject.
Right. And it also, I mean, what are some reasons why people commit suicide? Well, one of those reasons is sometimes it's an attention thing. And that is what high school is almost entirely about. You know, I mean, and certainly when there's class, or not class, what's the word I'm thinking? Clique.
Yeah, cliques.
You know, cliques are all about attention, especially the higher you go, the more attention you seek. And, you know, and then when popular people do things like this, you feel differently for them than maybe sometimes the idea is like, oh, well, you really don't want the popular kid around, but if they kill themselves, aren't you going to feel bad about that? So you're going to show more love to them than they deserve. Or people start thinking of things about them that it just isn't real.
Maybe they weren't really shallow. Maybe they're blah, blah, blah. Or
yeah. Oh, I wish I had just asked them if they were okay that one day. Mm-hmm.
Damn.
No, I mean, no, but what I mean by that is like they are still bad people. Those are still bad people who died, you know, but people will kind of evangelize the dead.
It's sort of a satirical flippancy as far as its approach to suicide, and specifically teenage suicide. Yeah, you've got the song, right? The number one hit song is Teenage Suicide, Don't Do It by Big Fun. Right.
Big Fun. Which is totally an 80s band name.
Teenage Suicide, don't do it. Oh yeah, she really blew it. Something like that.
What's the
There's also the quote by the hippie counselor. She says, "We have to talk. Whether or not you kill yourself is one of the most important decisions a teenager can make."
Yep.
Which is of course what they would say about sex.
Right.
Deciding to have sex is going to be one of the most important.
So there's almost this sort of satirical microscope that's put on the phenomenon of suicide, specifically in teenage in high school, to kind of make it seem like just kind of a dumb thing to do, but also I don't know. I don't want to say that it doesn't quite go where it needs to for kids that really are depressed, but I think that, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
Like, it's almost too flippant at times.
But I think the point of it is that people are going to hold those people that because you experience how terrible these people are. If they kill themselves like you want them to, you're not going to get any satisfaction out of it. In a way, it's more of a, hey, I know you feel this way. One, it gets better. Two, you're not gonna. I mean, just you're. It's not going to give you what you think it's going to give you.
Right, and I do think that it's illustrated really well with the scene with Heather number 3, where Veronica stops her from killing herself.
Oh, right. You mean Heather number 2?
Or Heather number 2? Yeah. Sorry.
Right, she stopped, and she just
wants
somebody to hear her.
Do you really want to be a statistic?
Right. Do you want to be a statistic, or do you just want to be heard?
This is the least private thing it could be, because she says suicide
is a private thing.
Right.
No,
it's
becoming
definitely
a
not.
statistic is the least private. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the moment you kill yourself, everybody's going to be like, oh my God, why did they do it? What was this? What does this mean? What does that? And it's like all of a sudden now all of your dirty laundry, all of your clean laundry is out in the air too. Mm-hmm. It's, it's not, I mean.
I also really like the scenes with the faculty.
Oh God, faculty
they're
scenes
all
are
smoking.
great.
It's like this huge smoke-filled room. It's almost like a corporate boardroom trying to decide what they should do to stop this rash of suicides in their school. How much time is appropriate to close school? I could go at least a half a day for a cheerleader.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So they're negotiating
the
politics.
mourning process.
Yeah, the politics, the optics,
right,
of how they're supposed to react, and it's amazing.
Yeah, because
that shit's happening to this day. We're probably in the middle of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes. Absolutely. There's a lot of people worried about optics right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In every little thing, and things that they shouldn't be worried about it. But anyway, yeah, Heather's still a funny movie 31 years later.
It really is.
Really, really funny movie.
It really is funny.
It is of its time, but it's also timeless.
Mm-hmm.
Kids in high school are always going to have to deal with cliques and have to deal with the popular kids and deal with the kids who have a little bit more than the other.
You mean deal with them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'll be your JD.
Yep.
Let's take those bitches out back.
Yep. Let's have them meet us behind the school. Bring some homosexual artifacts.
Yep.
Sorry, the line still strikes me funny.
Artifacts.
That's the part that's hilarious about it. Why are they artifacts?
Well, anything that's going to be found is an artifact.
I guess. Yeah. But they're not artifacts if they haven't been found yet.
But they will be. The plan is for them to be
make
found.
them artifacts.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because it's for whoever finds the bodies to find that, oh my God, the note already says everything it has to, but I guess it's true because look, they have a big bottle of mineral water.
Right. The note's kind of unimportant, and it's even joked about at one point. He's like, nobody cares if the handwriting's close.
Right.
Like it doesn't matter.
Right, because when he wants to kill Shannon Doherty, he just takes her hand and scribbles like poorly. Life sucks. It's like between that and in the book of Moby Dick that I've underlined certain things that are meant to be important.
Right.
Eskimo being the
people will
the
buy
one word
it as a suicide.
Yeah,
they don't need much.
He says something good about that. It's like the adults will just nod their heads at the screwed up youth. Essentially, I'm paraphrasing.
Right.
It's like the youth of today, of course.
Mm-hmm.
They would just kill themselves.
Well, it's because of the MTV video games.
The MTV video games, yeah.
Yeah. That's funny.
Glenn Shaddix is in this movie. as the preacher. We have a very, very funny Glenn Shattuck story.
He talks about the righteous dude, Jesus Christ.
The righteous dude.
Yep.
But yeah, we had a run-in. Well, a friend of ours had a run-in with him at a convention where didn't realize that 16 years ago, Glenn Shattuck's signature cost $20 per signature. But he didn't take our friend's last dollar when he didn't even have enough to pay for all 3 signatures.
Oh man, what did he get? What did he get signed?
Beetlejuice.
Definitely Beetlejuice.
I mean, I would get Demolition Man signed, of course.
Of course you would.
Probably this.
What, did he have this?
I wouldn't be surprised if he had this.
What other Tim Burton movies was he in?
Oh, he was in. Wasn't he in Ed Wood also?
Might have been.
I don't know, but anyway, the 3 movies,
$60.
$60 from a guy who his name is never going to be on the poster for anything. You know, it's
right.
Like, oh God. Anyway,
yeah. Wow. Those they'd probably have depreciated in value.
probably. And he's dead too. That's the weird thing too, right?
Oh, he is dead. Yeah.
He died a few years later after that. But anyway, so yeah, Glenn Shattuck's always a treat to see him, just if for nothing else to remember the story of Wizard World 2004. So anyway.
Oh, it was the mayor of Halloween Town. I bet it was Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
Totally.
He's the mayor of charging too much for a signature. Down. Anyway, so next week we've got another Christian Slater movie to talk about.
We do.
And I'm excited about this one because I love this movie.
Oh, yeah?
As much as I like Heathers, and as much as that fit maybe some of my mindset back then, Pump Up the Volume, I fucking love that movie.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking about that next week as part 2 of our Christian Slater
Slater-thon?
Slater-thon. Then guess what we're doing after that? Jack Nicholson.
Mm-hmm. And revisiting Jack.
Nice.
Yeah.
One of the only times, well, maybe the only time he ever played the same character twice.
I can't think of another time.
He unfortunately didn't play the Joker twice. So, yeah, I can't think of any other.
No, we'll have to think on that. I bet you might be right.
Yeah. But anyway, that's more to come on that. But next week, it's Pump Up the Volume. So, guys.
Yeah.
Where's the Film Seizures at?
FilmSeizure.com.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just go there. It's on the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Chuck.
Yeah.
Do we have Sochmeads?
Sochmeads. You got the Facebooks. You got what else you got?
The
You're on
tweeters.
SoundCloud. You got Twitter. You got other things too.
We post the stuff to the Instagrams.
Oh yeah,
Instagrams.
Yeah.
We have an Instagram.
Yes, we do.
You didn't even like this show on Facebook until like 3
That's
weeks
true.
ago.
That's true.
So,
Yeah, no, we've been doing this for like 20 years, and you've just now liked us.
Yeah. It took me a while to decide, guys.
It kept asking me if I wanted you to be
Include
like,
me.
and I'm like, I don't want to pressure him.
That's between him and God.
He loves our dead gay show.
I love my dead gay show.
Anyway, yeah. So do stuff there. Wednesdays, new episodes of Film Seizure. Mondays, new episodes of Monster Mondays. Fridays, I write some stuff for your butthole. So
Yes.
there you go.
Yep.
That's a bmovieenema.com.
Clean right out.
Clean you right out. Totally cleans you right out.
Get you ready for Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really the important thing.
Yeah.
You got to be ready for Saturday.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to do any small part I can.
Yep.
So next week, come back for Pump Up the Volume,
Please do.
which is now an astonishing 30 years old.
Damn.
I know, right? Anyway, I'm Jeff Arbuckle.
I'm Chuck Moore.
I'm Jason Oliver, and you have been listening to Film Seizure.